Greetings and salutations, everyone. This is Jason BitBender Brink, and we are here for the 6th episode of Ahead of the Game. And I am delighted to be here with you guys. And look at that. We even started exactly on time. No technical issues so far. Fingers crossed that we're able to avoid that for the rest of this. So we have an insanely packed schedule today. And I am going to be... There's 2 videos that are coming. There's a bunch of ecosystem updates. There's a bunch of game updates. And I'm going to try to get through as many of them as possible and then get to the end where we can dig into some questions. I may stretch this out a little bit, so it may go a little bit beyond 5 p.m., depending on everyone's schedule and, all of that. So we're going to try to make this as awesome and smooth as possible. And the one thing that I have is my own voice coming back to me from YouTube, so let me mute that. Anyway, one of the things that we've really made an effort on over the past week is increasing the production value of this so that it's easier for people to access information and easy for people to submit questions and things like that. So you will see some cool things that pop up from time to time, all coming from a little control board that I have right down there. So for example, if you would like to submit a question and you're watching this on any platform right now, you can go ahead and scan that QR code, and that will take you to a place where you can submit a question. A bunch of people have been submitting questions for a little while now, and I will be going through a bunch of those and potentially getting to other ones that are new. So throw your questions in there and yeah. Let us know what you think. And then also, this is going to make you so happy, Paul, to see this. Paul is the producer, and he always has to remind me to do this, but now I have a big red button that says do this. So make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow, and share with your friends. And I think just to make it interesting, if you're watching this on Twitter, there's the live stream that's live on Twitter right now. Go ahead and give it a retweet and tag a couple of your friends. And I'm going to go ahead and at the end of all of this, I'm going to use a little retweet picker and see who gets picked that has retweeted it. And I'm going to give them a spider tank. I think I'm going to give them a Gen 1 Snoop tank. I think I can give them an uncommon. I think I have an extra uncommon. So I will do that. So make sure that you retweet. Anyway. How's everyone doing today? I got the Gala Gold chat up here and watching that, but I also have the YouTube chat. So yeah, let's dig right into it. Ooh, thank you, Ventit, for the nice big questions thing. Post them there. Okay, guys, let's dig right in. So couple things that people have been asking about in Gala Gold, and if you guys have been watching the Gala Gold chat, you will have seen some potentially not heated's not the right word, but vociferous conversations going back and forth. And one of those questions is around the journey towards total decentralization of GalaChain. So Q3 is going to see the deployment of some of the decentralized chain functions. Initially, these are going to roll out to partners so that they will be running parts of the chain, and then eventually, hopefully, to the rest of the community. So that is something that we're going to be digging in on a lot. And there's going to be some big updates coming on that. I want to dig in for a second on a question that Lol39 asked. And I'm sorry, Paul, I did not get you this in advance, so you can't bring it up on screen, I don't think, unless you did happen to pull it out of there. But he says, Jason, can you talk about what it's like building an L1 blockchain? Just wondering how it's working. In his vision, there's never really an end for developers to stop building. Is there a real moment where you can say, okay, it's finished and the rest needs to be built from now by others of the community, etc.? So the way that we look at this is we see ourselves very much as part of this community, okay? Yes, we are taking a lead in building some of these components up front, but the long-term goal is to push this out so that the community can continue building it and continue to improve upon it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what we would like to see is we would like to see all of this be open sourced so that anyone can come and build on it, can deploy their own components and things like that in the long run. This is the goal that we're working towards. So eventually, we would like it so that a game developer can come, decide to build on GalaChain, or not even a game developer, any developer can decide they want to build on GalaChain, set up and deploy their own channel, and even potentially deploy their own node network that does specific things for what they're doing without us having to do anything. That is the goal. As you guys know, the goal for decentralization is always one at which there isn't a central nexus of control. That's the goal that we are working towards as much as possible. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit. There isn't really a point though where I think that we'll completely walk away and say, oh, that's it, because we see this as something that we want to build with the community in conjunction, not just for, but with. So we would definitely love to get further developers involved in that. And we, in fact, last week or the week before, a developers group started to kick off. And in fact, we have one of them who's going to be in the interview a little bit later. So yeah, it should be fun, but it's a continual process. We're constantly working towards decentralization, and that's the long-term goal. We also have a governance vote coming up within the next couple weeks on some concepts that are tangentially related to the concept of what was formerly known as the bonus pool. So keep an eye out for that. My goal is to have a proposal in everyone's hands by the end of next week so that we can have a discussion about it before it goes to a final vote. We would like you guys to have a week to review things before it gets pushed out there for a final vote, and then people will be able to get involved with that. And also, Meow Match, Spider Tanks, and the Gala Games platform are all in the Magic Store for validation votes, which they're all doing pretty well on that. I believe the link to that is magic.store. If you could get in there and vote, and we would appreciate it. Okay, guys. So now what we're going to do is we have the first interview, and this is with Mark Cynister interviewing a part of the team from XBorg. I'm not part of this interview because I just wasn't able to get it on my schedule. And besides, he knows a lot more about it than me. So I'm going to step back. I'm going to be talking to people in Discord, and I'm going to let this interview air. And then after that, I have game news coming out my nose. It's going to be an epic little last bit of this. Talking about Dragon Strike, talking about Town Star, Spider Tanks, Last Expedition, Mirandus. There's a lot of news here. So watch this, and I'll be back in just a few.
Hey everybody, my name is Mark, but you may know me as Cynister from Discord, and welcome to the community portion of Ahead of the Game. And today with me here is Megas from XBorg. So, Megas, why don't you tell us a little bit about XBorg and what you guys do?
Cool. Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me or having us here. Right. I'm Migas, as you said. I lead partnership and esports on XBorg. And so you might know XBorg more for their, the social side of the company, in which we organize tournaments. We have the best team on the Web3. And we have a very big community driven on games, right? We are a community of gamers. And then we have the other side of XBorg, in which we are a technology company, right? And our idea and our motto since the beginning has always been to empower players and fans. And what we do essentially is we're building cool apps for esport teams and games and publishers that will help bring the players and the fan base into the core value loop or the value proposition of the entire gaming industry.
Yeah, definitely great to hear. I know a lot of the stuff you're working on is super, it would work very naturally with what we do here, specifically with Spider Tanks, where it stands right now, but I'm sure other games will be able to plug in just as nice. And would you be able to talk a little bit about how this would work specifically for the players and what the benefit would be?
Cool. Yeah. I mean, so maybe to give a broad idea of what we're working on. So XBorg, we're building a credential and gaming credential network, which essentially is we're basically building a database or a CRM system for players and fans. So you can look at it as a bottom of a tunnel. We're building this data center where we're going to track all the players' both social and gaming activities. Essentially, building each player's CV or each fan's CV on the blockchain, right? And through that data, we will be able to build cool applications for games and any sport industry, right? So, for example, one of the products we're building now is a fan loyalty app system, which we are working actually with top tier esport teams. One was already announced with BDS. We're going to release the app for Team BDS early August. Oh, no, sorry, early September or late August. But we're already talking with other big esport teams. I can't disclose the name right now, but I can tell you that I mean, if you think of like the top 1, top 2, top 3 teams in the world, we're close to sign with 2 of those, let's say at least. Or actually, we have already signed with one of them at least, and we're already developing. And so by bringing those, and now going into how we're working with Gala, right, the Gala ecosystem or the games you guys are building is, if you think about by onboarding these Web2 fans or Web2, esport team fans into a fan app, we will be able to provide them with a discovery page for Web3 games. And that's our way to bringing Web2 players into Web3 games. The system is going to work essentially around an avatar system in which players and fans can do several quests, both gaming and social. And through that, discover, we can essentially guide Web2 fans from those esport teams through Gala Games, right? That's the idea.
Yeah, definitely. And so the way I understand it, the way it could potentially translate to Spider Tanks, and the reason I'm saying it like this, because I know there's a lot of potential, definitely. But specifically for Spider Tanks, I guess it could be like, hey, on my CV page, hey, I'm really good with like a shotgun and a really quick tank. So and my rank is like deity, and if you want me to pilot your ancient shotgun on a flea, you could always get in touch with me via here. And I'm really good at this. Here's my previous history. This is what I've done, and yada yada yada. And I feel like this is something that community would be super happy about, just to be able to show what they're good at, what they're looking for, and etc.
Yeah, so I can elaborate a little more on that. So I think you're talking about what we talked in our private meeting regarding like it's what we call like targeting landing, right? So the idea is, as I said in the beginning, since we're building this like player CV, on the credential and the gaming layer, any NFT holders will actually be able to filter exactly the type of player they're lending access to. So, for example, you're gonna actually be able to filter like if the player is good on a mobile, for example, if he's a tank player, if he's a healer, how many hours he played, how many victories he has. So you essentially have a feature to filter the player, how good the player is in the specific category that he is good at, right? This is going to even be able to apply from different game types, right? For example, Spider Tanks as a MOBA, you might have fans from, let's say, BDS, and I almost dropped the name here that I couldn't, but so you might have, like, for example, a MOBA player from BDS that's really good on other MOBA games as a tank, and you might also want to allow him to you might, as a lander, you might want to try to lend him assets to see if he's good or not, because he has actually a very good performance on these type of games. Yeah, that's only one of the aspects of where our technology can be. You can also think about, for example, a soul-bound launchpad for the Gala Games, for example, in which you can actually like target, for example, if you guys are launching a new FPS game, you can through our launchpad actually, because of this CRM or this credential and social gaming data that we're building, you can actually even target like I'm only going to open the investment to FPS players. And why is this good? Is that if you think about it, the investors or gamers that are more willing to put the time to test your game, play your game, promote your game are going to be FPS players if you're building an FPS game, and those are the ones you want to target, right? So essentially, this opens, in our opinion, a lot of opportunities for Web3 games to to use our database and our credential and gaming network to filter more the type of players and audience that they want to onboard in their game, especially at an early stage, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You don't want investors only to be here for the token value, let's say. You actually want them to be playing the game.
Yeah, definitely. And this is exactly what we stand for at Gala, because the game comes first and everything else comes later, which is why any of the decisions that we make will first of all favor the ecosystem and the game itself. And realistically, we're looking for gamers, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so I think we're unless you want to add something else, I think we're good to hop over to the set of questions. I know it's a little I'm not a big fan of doing like a set of questions, but I feel like it's a little natural here.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm sure I could go on and on and on about what we're doing and how we can improve the Web3 scene and be good for the Web3 games, right? Or but yeah, let's go into that.
Sure. Okay, so let's start with the spicy one. Is there something you don't like about what we do?
Not, I wouldn't say so. Not that I found out recently. I think in the beginning, most. I mean, you guys. I mean, at least I feel you guys are also a little in that route, and most of the Web2 games were very focused on the play to earn mechanics, and now it's more the play and earn. But I think you guys have actually been one of the ones pushing the most and focusing the most on fun first, earning later, right? But if I remember in the beginning, the narrative was a little also around the play and earn, and not as much as on the fun side. But I think you guys definitely pivot from that to the new fun first and building fun games and ownership as well. That's an important one. So I do think that your guys on the right path. So I would say I have nothing that I dislike on what you're building right now. I'd love to see a little more tournaments and comp scene from your games, at least the ones that are available for PvP. But that's the nature of my nature as well as an XPro player and from our community on XBorg, which is mostly like comp scene players and multiplayer type of player style, not really PvE players. So that would be the only thing I like to point.
Yeah, definitely. So with the entire play and earn, we did pivot hard from that, and I feel like, as you said, the entirety of the ecosystem did learn a huge lesson there, and we have been huge proponents and just generally supporters of making the games fun first, because after the game is actually fun and you have people playing it, then you would be able to add stuff onto it, right, in order to enable true ownership and just the rest of these mechanics that we're looking forward to. So the next question is going to be, what do you like about what we do?
I think that's a little bit tied to what I just said from what I don't dislike, right? Again, I think you guys are building really good games. For example, I really like Spider Tanks. I think it's a fun game to play. It's multiplayer. The community is also super healthy around that. I'll be honest. I can't talk too much about the Gala ecosystem as a whole because I mostly focus on the games you guys are building. I haven't looked too much into the community. I tried Superior. Superior was a super fun game. Playing a superhero, and Gala, I think, is one of and Spider Tanks, I mean, is one of those games where I could really see it, having a strong comp scene because the game is fun and it seems well balanced. I think we also chatted a little about how to balance a little more even the comp scene because of the cards you guys have on top of it. but yeah, but one of the things I really like on you guys is that you actually take the time to listen to I mean, at least my feedback. So I say you listen to the community feedback and actually act on it, right? Because most of these, I mean, many projects out there, they say they listen to the community, but they never develop on it. And you guys are actually, at least from my experience, listen and do ship the, let's say, the updates on that quite fast.
Yeah, and huge props to the Spider Tanks team. They are, I feel like they're super responsive to the community, and I know that Hendrickson and Chair Bandit have been doing just a lot to make sure the game is heading in the right direction, and the things that need to be done are done, and it's very visible and it's felt in the community and generally in the game. Okay, and the next question is going to be: is there anything you'd like to change?
On on Gala or the Web3 industry or what specific?
Oh, just I should have said change about what we do, but it can be spider tanks. I know you're more comfortable with that as opposed to the entirety of the Gala ecosystem.
So what was the question again? What would I like to see change?
Yeah, if there's anything.
No, again, I'd really love to see a big esports scene around Spider Tanks because, like you said, he's the one I feel the most comfortable with. It's also the game that appeals the most to me from the games I played from Gala because, again, it's the one that our community likes to build tournaments on top. And we even invited you guys to the XCS, but it just didn't happen, right? Back at the time, maybe for season 2. But I think the game has really good potential. Maybe it's early, but the game has really good potential for that. So I'd like to see you guys put, a lot of effort onto the comp scene or the esports scene because I think the game could do really, really well. So that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, this is something I'm personally also looking forward to. I did really want to be in the Extreme Championship Series, but I'm really hoping that we'll be there for the next season.
Yep, cool. Yeah, sure.
And the last question is, what are you most looking forward to in the Gala ecosystem? And I think we already sort of touched on that in every question here, but I'm going to let you speak.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I really hope you guys keep coming with new and cool games, right? That target every genre and every community out there because I think there's a lot of people or a lot of eyes into Web3 looking for good games and fun games, and it's not easy to find those on Web3. I mean, you do see a lot of games, but not all of them are properly built. Not all of them are fun, and I guess we all know I don't want to bash here on the Web3 scene, but we all know there's a lot of let's say pump projects. So it's really good to see like a company putting real efforts behind building real games or complete games and actually having like communities behind it. Because this is actually a fun fact, or curiosity. That's one thing that we chat about a lot on XBorg is that more and more, especially like with the appearance of AI in our lives, more and more is going to be easy to build games or build graphics or build products, right? Because AI is going to help us a lot on that. So what's going to be key in the future, at least in our opinion, is communities. So the way we see is that in 5, 10, 15 years, everybody's going to be able to build a somewhat decent game through AI. But the ones that actually have a big community behind them, a big supporter behind them, those are the ones that are going to end. So communities are going to be more and more, the value of a game, and that's what's going to make them thrive. And I think you guys, by listening to your community, like I said before, it's going to be what actually keeps Gala as a top I don't know, publisher, if I can say, or ecosystem for games. That's the way I see it, at least.
Yeah, I actually never considered this, but it's a great point that the further down the rabbit hole of AI we go, strangely enough, the more power the people are going to get back in like terms of communities and being able to decide what is worth and what isn't, right?
Yeah, I agree. And again, it's like if if an AI can build a game, so if I can, I don't know if it's going to be the case. I think it will. Like down in 10 years, if I put an AI, build a game to me similar to Counter Strike, and the AI just does it. In the end of the day, obviously, with it's going to be you're still probably going to need some engineers and some C-level people. But if the building a game is going to become much easier, then it's going to be all about communities because that's the player base, right? So it's going to be less about who can build the best game, but actually who can have the most hardcore community or the best community, the more engagement community. And I think catering now for your community is actually gonna put you in a better position compared to your peers down in the next couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. And it is very interesting because where we stand, and it's very visible and felt specifically with Mirandus, because as McCarthy always says, it's traditionally when you're making a game, you announce the game, and then for the next like a year, maybe more, you're in a bunker and you're just making a game, and at the end of it, you're just hoping that the people are gonna like it. But what we are doing is, and Mirandus is a great example of that, we do have these tests and the community participates. We see what works and what doesn't work, and we adjust accordingly. And that's just how it's been going. And again, I feel like it's great, just like you said. And I appreciate you coming on here. Is there anything else you'd like to share? It was great having you here, and this is my first time hosting one of these, so thank you for being here with me, sharing the experience.
Yeah, cool. I think it's the first time I'm doing like a live, or not a live, but like a recorded interview. I did a lot of AMAs and a lot of Twitter spaces already, but this is a cool experience. The only thing I'd like to add is I'm going to shield us a little here, but do keep following XBorg. Again, we are working with really big teams right now to launch some of our products. And when I say big teams, I mean like Web2 eSport Tier 1 teams from across the world, from Europe to Asia to NA and to Latam essentially. And we, on top of those, we're gonna also have the Web3 games involved to essentially help the ecosystem thrive. At the end of the day, we're targeting Web2 to make to help the Web3 ecosystem grow bigger and stronger together.
Great. Really looking forward to it. Looking forward to building something together and just making something that would work for the people, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we still target. I don't know if I can drop this here, but we're still targeting to have Gala on board on the app for September.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Thank you.
Yo, thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in.
Welcome back, everybody. That was Mark and oh man, Migas. That was the name, Migas from XBorg. I love the XBorg guys. That was one of the interviews that I did was last year when I was at Binance Blockchain Week in Paris, and it was like 2 a.m. and I had to hop on to do an interview with the XBorg guys. But it was a fantastic space that went on for a really, really long time. And I really enjoyed it and everything that that their community brings to the table. So I'm excited to have more of our stuff more deeply integrated with them as well. So looking forward to that. Okay, guys, we're going to try a tech thing and see if this works. You ready to talk about some games? I hope you're ready to talk about some games. I'm going to push this button and see if it does the thing that it's supposed to do. Boom. It seems to have done the thing that it was supposed to do. Awesome. So, Dragon Strike. I have had some people that have been absolutely pounding down my door, figuratively speaking, in Discord, asking for some Dragon Strike news, and specifically asking about community engagement. So I sat down today with Dylan, who is the head of our community management team, and we had a little bit of a conversation about how we can better engage the Dragon Strike community. So we're leaning in, and we're going to be leaning in pretty hard on the Dragon Strike community, working in conjunction with the Dragon Strike team. I have personally joined the School of Dragons, and I am now actually playing the game. I sat down today and played it for a little bit. which I have not had a chance to do prior to this, and it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. I have to admit, it's quite fun. So I'm going to be doing a little bit more of that, but TLDR is you're going to see some more community engagement there, and we're going to be leaning in. Also, this may be of news to people. The first Gala leaderboard is scheduled to start up this coming Monday. As with everything that I say, this is subject to change. If the game team decides that they need longer or they need to push something back, that can always happen. But it looks like the first Gala leaderboard is kicking off on Monday, and there is some pretty cool stuff, and I believe there's going to be some leaks of what exactly that looks like coming here. But development is moving forward. There was a comment today, and I don't recall who I was having the conversation with in Discord about the way that community and development works in Web 2 versus Web 3 games. One of the challenges that you have when you take a game that is a fundamentally previously Web 2 game and you begin making the transition to a Web 3 game is that, people have a bunch of expectations about when development is supposed to happen. Gala is now involved in this. Where are the new features? Let's get the new features out and start, people start wanting to see lots of new stuff. The thing that they don't know is that you actually have to basically rebuild how the game works on the back end for chain integration. So what you get is you get the same looking game, but with chain integration. And then after that point is achieved, and that's all fully done and stable, then additional features can start to be added on. So don't worry, guys. There's still more coming, but you have to let the team finish the chain part first before you start worrying about the other stuff. Okay, so couple notes on Townstar. So Townstar offline mode is now online. So you will, then this has been a feature that people have requested for a really long time. And this was a big part of the transition from Play Canvas to Godot. So you can find that in your settings and you can kick that on. And I can't give too many leaks about this, but the node concept for Townstar is moving forward and some pretty cool stuff is being tossed around there. Hopefully we can actually get some more detailed descriptions of that within the next few weeks, but there's some really cool stuff coming for Townstar, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. Okay, spider tanks. Got a little bit of news about spider tanks, but it is it's not very flashy news, but it's really, really important. So I met with the Spider Tanks team this week, and one of the things that we are looking at doing right now, currently investigating, is taking Spider Tanks and removing it from behind the Gala launcher. Right now, one of the big challenges to bringing new people into Spider Tanks is that they first have to download the Gala launcher, and then they have to go back to the page, and then they have to download Spider Tanks, and then they have to go back to the page, and then they have to click on Play Spider Tanks. It's a lot of friction, very high friction, significant drop off when a new user comes in. We don't like that. So what we're looking at doing is setting it up so that when a user comes, they can just download and play Spider Tanks. And then as they play, it will eventually prompt them to create an account or to link an account. And what essentially will happen is you will have your game name in Spider Tanks, your user account name in Spider Tanks, that you will then link over to your Gala account, much the way you link an account for Grit with Epic, or you link an account for Dragon Strike or Meow Match. That's some of what we're going with there. Okay, so another update here for Last Expedition now. Now, there is a new summer build coming for Last Expedition. This is something that is super exciting because I've played a little bit of this build and it's even more epic. Every time Spider Tanks advances, or not Spider Tanks, Last Expedition advances, it gets cooler and cooler and cooler, and I think you guys are absolutely going to love this. And then, even more importantly, the team is currently looking at ways to let more than just the Last Expedition node owners and operators play. So those 25 invite keys that you have, that's going to be something that you will hopefully be able to do something with here pretty soon. Don't start sending them around to a bunch of people just yet, but that's going to play a role in all of this. Okay, final major game update is an update for Mirandus. There were 2 NFTs that were dropped. There were the Mother's Crown and Mother's Blood. 24 of the Mother Crown were for players who looted the crown. Okay, and then 31 were part of the striking of the killing blow on the main boss for the last Mirandus test. I don't want to go into utility on these things, but they're pretty cool things, and they are, at the very least, a wonderful reminder of what that playtest was. Now, there were a few questions about why those specific NFTs did not drop to Founders Nodes. There are a couple reasons for this. The first is that those were specific to that exact instance in the game. It's not a general thing that goes out to Founders Nodes, but it was specifically tied to that in-game instance and needs to stay that way for that purpose. The second, and this goes to a lot of things, is that the Founders Node drops have not been going through on GalaChain. That's in progress, but pretty soon you're going to see some drops. Well, not pretty soon, but you will see, hoping Q3, drops of quite a few different things that have been minted on GalaChain to the Founders Nodes. So all of that is there. We have not forgotten about it. That includes the Gen 2 tanks. All of those things will eventually be going out to Founders Nodes as a drop. And it will be a pretty exciting day, I think, because that's going to be quite a few different things. Okay, so those are the updates that I have for the games. Oh, we're doing pretty good on time. This isn't awful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go